Hello everyone, welcome to Bards and Books. I'm Usman, and today we are doing a book review on 11th Cycle by Kian N. Ardalan. So this is book 1 in the Mistland series, and I gotta say, I loved it. It was really grimdark. Now, just for a heads up, I don't have much experience with reading grimdark. I think the only other grimdark I've read is some of the Black Company books by Glenn Cook, which is vastly different from 11th Cycle. That, and I'm not a big video game player. I haven't played Dark Souls, which I know is like one of the main inspirations for this book. I haven't played any of those kind of games. I haven't read Berserk, which is another inspiration. So really, why am I reading this book? I don't know. I don't know, but I read it and I loved it. So let me start off by saying this is a heavy book, both figuratively and literally. I think it's about 800 pages or so. And it deals with some really traumatic stuff, some really heartbreaking, gut-wrenching, violent, graphic, heavy stuff. So let's start with the world building here. So we got a phenomenal world here. We got a map, which is always appreciated. We got a whole array of races with their own cultures and their own characteristics and their own values and religions. So for the religions here, we get quite a few religions, and they're all pretty interesting in their own way, but I gotta say, this has one of the coolest religions I've ever read in a book. So the divinity in this world is pretty cool. We got a whole array of gods and like different castes of higher beings. One of them's called the Zerubs, who are like these big human-like bodies with animal heads. So that's pretty interesting. The gods here are all pretty uniquely portrayed. They got their own kind of unique characteristics. Each one of them. What I think is really cool is that although the divinity kind of live up in their own realm, they can come down and involve themselves in mortal affairs if they wish to, which I guess distinguishes them between, like, you know, something real and something that's just a purely celestial being. So that was really cool. The plot here is pretty cool. It's pretty gripping. The pacing is on par with that. It never gets bogged down or tedious to read at any moment. But I think the biggest thing with this story has got to be the character work here. It could very much be classified as a character study almost, because, yeah, we get pretty heavy into these characters and we get really into their mindset and the emotions they're feeling and how they deal with that. They're super engaging, they're very relatable, and it can be tough. It can be a tough read. I get why a lot of people are turned off by this kind of story. It deals with some really traumatic stuff, some really painful stuff. It can trigger people. It can, you know, rub them the wrong way. But for me personally, I didn't experience that. I actually found it very cathartic because, you know, these characters go through just the worst things imaginable and they somehow persevere through it. Like, there's a core theme of hope and being able to persevere through all this trauma, which is pretty incredible. And I gotta say kudos to the author for that, for being able to pull that off, because that can be really tough to pull off. But although I did enjoy it, it did have me mentally drained at times still. I mean, that's the point of a story like this. It's gonna happen, it's inevitable. It's gonna be mentally draining. I was nauseous at times from some of these scenes. It was anxiety inducing. Yeah, my emotions were pretty hectic at times, but I think that's what gripped me to the story even more, and at no point did I get angry or triggered or anything like that. It is very cathartic, like I said. And I guess an important thing to bring up here is that for people who do find this, you know, triggery and just think it's like edgy for the sake of being edgy or something like that, it is very much not. Like, if you, for example, some of the more graphic, violent scenes, some of the extreme sexual content we get, which I know is like a big talking point among this book. It's not, in my opinion, it's not overly written. It's not too much. It was just the right amount that it needed to be to convey the message that it was conveying. Yeah, at no point did I find like, oh, this is too much or whatever, anything like that. No, there's, if you read each paragraph, each sentence even, and you think about why it's written the way it's written, you should come to the same conclusion and see that it's It's there for a purpose. It serves a purpose, a good purpose. So again, these characters are very believable, very realistic. I'm finding that I'm quite a character-driven reader. Like, the plot is very important to me still, but the characters more so. I like diving into their minds and seeing how they deal with this like trauma and hardship and how they overcome it or don't overcome it. It's really interesting to me. And these characters made very believable choices, had very genuine reactions to their emotions and you know, the things that happened to them. So that was really well done there. But there's not too much more I want to cover here. I want to keep it kind of spoiler free. Again, it's very dark. It's a very heavy book. If that's not for you, if extreme sexual content and very graphic violence and very traumatic experiences might trigger you, don't read it. Just don't read it, and you know, save yourself the bad review that you want to put out or the anger that you're gonna feel. So anyways, rant over. Overall, easy 5 stars. This book, absolutely 5 stars. It was awesome. I loved it. It was very well written. The prose was not too flowery. It was very metaphorical at times, and I like that kind of that writing style. Like, it never felt like too much. If that's kind of turning you off or making you a little concerned, it shouldn't. It was very easy to follow prose, very well written, marvelous job. So again, 5 stars. I loved this book. I think this is one of those things that's like a hit or a miss with people. You either loved it or you hated it. There's not really much of a middle ground because of the, you know, the content that it has, I guess. But yeah, I can't wait to read the next book in the series, which should come out, if I heard correctly, in a year and a half, maybe 2 years, I don't know. Whatever. You know what? Whenever it comes out, I can't wait to read it. Props to the author, Kian N. Ardalan. This was an amazing first entry in the Mistland series. And yeah, that's all I have to say. I loved it. 5 stars. If you've read this book, let me know what you think. Leave a comment down below. Other than that, I'll see you guys next time.